Why the US is closing embassies across Africa while striking Cobalt deals, Trump's Africa exit. Hello and welcome, I am Samia Mohammed. Last week, news broke that the Trump administration is preparing to shut down nearly 30 US embassies and consulates worldwide, over half of them in Africa. The move is part of a sweeping plan to slash the State Department and US state budgets by half, signaling a retreat from traditional diplomacy in favor of leaner, interest-driven engagement. Nowhere is this shift more apparent than in the Democratic Republic of Congo, where the US is courting minerals for security partnerships centered on cobalt and copper critical resources for global tech and defense industries. As the US deepens economic ties while scaling back its diplomatic footprint, questions arise. Is this pragmatic strategy for mutual benefit or a modern irritation of resource extraction dressed as partnership that undermines African sovereignty? The proposed embassy closures align with a broader restructuring of US foreign policy under Trump's 2026 budget blueprint. The plan calls for nearly halving the State Department and US state budget and reducing foreign aid by up to 75%. If implemented, this would dismantle key programs in democracy promotion, global health, and education. The African embassies reportedly set for closure include Lesotho, Eritrea, the Central African Republic, the Republic of Congo, the Gambia, and South Sudan. US consulates in Durban, South Africa, and Douala, Cameroon are also on the chopping block, with their functions likely absorbed by neighboring embassies. But the cut extends beyond Africa. Malta and Luxembourg in Europe and several consulates in Asia are also under review. Supporters call it a necessary cost-saving measure to streamline government. Critics warn it's a strategic withdrawal from soft power diplomacy at a time when global influence, especially in Africa, is being fiercely contested by China, Russia, and the Gulf states. Africa, home to 54 nations and a population nearing 1.4 billion, is at the center of this geopolitical tug of war. And no case illustrates the US playbook more clearly than the Democratic Republic of Congo. The DRC holds more than 70% of the world's cobalt and nearly a third of global lithium reserves, minerals essential for electric vehicles and smartphones and military technologies. Earlier this month, Trump's Africa envoy Masad Bolos met with Congolese President Félix Tshisekedi to chart a path forward on minerals for security agreement, potentially involving multinational firms like Rio Tinto. We seek thriving regional economy, Bolo said, linking mineral development to efforts to stabilize eastern Congo, where the M23 rebel group, allegedly backed by Rwanda, continues to fuel conflict. The proposed deal, valued at around $3 billion, came days after Congo quietly released 3 American citizens detained over alleged links to a failed 2024 coup plot. Analysts say the timing was no coincidence, suggesting a quid pro quo, US investment and security assistance in exchange for access and political concessions. Meanwhile, Eric Prince, founder of the controversial private military company Blackwater and a close-term ally, has reached a separate agreement to help Kinshasa improve tax collection and reduce illicit mining trade in southern Katanga province. It's a package deal: private security, economic leverage, and critical minerals. President Tshisekedi, under mounting pressure from internal insecurity and economic stagnation, appears open to the deal, hoping US involvement will bring both investment and leverage against regional threats. For a country over 5.4 million are internally displaced and 40% live in poverty, the promise of US investment could be a political lifeline. A successful partnership could in theory create jobs, raise tax revenue, and even fund infrastructure similar to Angola's recent $1 billion US-backed rail project. It might also help push back M23 rebels, whose 2024 resurgence displaced over 100,000 people. Yet, history tempers optimism. Colonial Belgium is estimated to have extracted $1 trillion in Congolese wealth with little benefit to local communities. More recently, Chinese firms have dominated DRC's mining landscape through $6 billion resource for infrastructure deals. The DRC has long been a cautionary tale of mineral wealth, translating into elite profits and mass suffering. Critics warn that history may be repeating itself, only with new players. The DRC ranks 162 globally in Transparency International's Corruption Perceptions Index. Weak institutions, opaque governance, and a fragmented security landscape made the DRC vulnerable to external manipulation. Observers are particularly alarmed by the role of private contractors like Prince Firm. They point to past debacles like the Wagner Group's role in Mozambique, where mercenary involvement escalated violence and undermined national authority. Meanwhile, US sanctions on Rwanda over its alleged support for M23 may push Kigali closer to Russia and China, stoking fears of renewed proxy conflicts on African soil. The risk, says Kinshasa-based analyst Marie Tishawangu, is that these foreign deals deepen our fractures instead of healing them. Ultimately, the Trump administration's approach reflects a systemic shift from diplomacy to deal-making, from embassies to have extractive engagement. In Congo, that strategy may bring short-term stability and investment, but the long-term impact on sovereignty, governance, and regional dynamics remain uncertain. For Africa, the challenge is not simply navigating great power interests, but defining the terms of engagement in a way that it is transparent, accountable, and ultimately African-led. That's all for today. Thank you for watching. Join us again tomorrow.